guys, what's up and welcome back. So if you're new here, I'm Liz. This is Korean Crime Time, where I'm your host. I sit down and I talk about a true crime case, and yeah, sometimes there's art involved. So with that being said, if that piques your interest, I hope you turn your bell notification on all and subscribe. Kind of need to subscribe before the bell, but that way you know when I upload, and I upload quite frequently. So today we're going to be talking about Princess Doe. We're going to Jersey. So yeah, let's get into today's true crime case.
Can you see me shaking? Hear the sound of my heart breaking. Bless the...
Who is Princess Doe? Alright, so on the morning of July 15th of 1982, a gravedigger named George Kais discovered the body of Princess Doe in the rear of Cedar Ridge Cemetery in Blairstown, New Jersey. Her body was found lying on its back just over a steep bank that leads to a creek below. The victim's face had been beaten well beyond recognition, so whoever did this really didn't want her to be identified. Yeah, and due to the condition of her body and that of face, her eye color could not be determined. So she did have clothes on her body, and they were a red short sleeve shirt. A peasant style skirt was found lying on top of her legs. No undergarments were found. So despite, no undergarments in her skirt being on top of her, there was no conclusive evidence that a sexual assault had happened. But this was difficult to determine due to the fact of her body being exposed. So, it is possible she could have been sexually assaulted, but they don't know because of the exposure that her body went through before being found. Yeah, so there was a golden cross necklace found tangled in her hair. 2 earrings were found in her left ear. Red nail polish was found on the right hand only, and she had no known surgical scars. There was no birthmarks and no tattoos visible on her body. So, yeah. They also couldn't determine if there was any scars or marks on her, her face or head, due to the fact of, the state that her body was in. Her appendix and her tonsils were intact, so she obviously has never had tonsillitis, and she didn't need to have an appendectomy because, they were still there. They had a forensic anthropologist, look at her, and this person indicated that she had never had birth, never given birth, or had never been pregnant. So, that kind of helps, but doesn't. They also determined that she was more than likely to be between 14 to 18 at the time of her death. When they did her tox screen, it did not reveal any traces of drugs, and it wasn't entirely conclusive at the time. Oh, and because of the time lapse between the discovery of, the death and discovery of the body. So if she had any drugs in her system, it's possible that anything that lingered had faded due to, when died and when found. Yeah. So it was believed that she was discovered 2-3 days or possibly weeks, after. And because of lovely temperature, this definitely affects the way that the body is after you die. So decomposition happens rapidly when you're in a hot and humid climate, and it was hot and humid for weather in that area at the time. Yeah. So a further examination indicated that she had attempted to fight back and to defend herself against her attacker because she did have markings on her hands and her arms that indicated a fighting back. Yeah, so they would investigate different leads when it comes to her identity. One of that was Janiece Dye. So Diana was a missing teenager from San Jose, California. She vanished on July 30th of 1979. So yeah, this theory was thought of by numerous different law enforcement officials in the state of New Jersey. And they went as far as holding a press conference identifying Diana Dye as Princess Doe. But the original lieutenant on the case, Eric Krantz, he maintained that Diana Dye was not a viable candidate for Princess Doe's identity. He also felt his feelings were shared by Diane's family. I keep calling her Diana, but it's Diane. Shared by Diane's family and investigators in California. So they didn't like how New Jersey was handling this case in tying Diane to Princess Doe. So in 2003, Princess Doe's DNA was compared to the DNA of Diane's mother, Patricia, and it was determined that Princess Doe was not Diane Dye. So, yeah. In 1999, there was evidence that came to light that Arthur and Donna Kinlaw were responsible for Princess Doe's murder. So Donna was arrested in California for attempting to commit welfare fraud by using the name Elena, which was traced back to a Long Island native. So when police questioned her, she then gave details about the murder of Linda, and her testimony put the Kinlaws behind bars. Sorry, hold on. Donna gave details of 2 murders Arthur committed, and these are of 2 females that remain unidentified. So after this, Arthur was faced with the death sentence, and Donna told authorities that Arthur killed another woman, a sex worker, earlier in 1982. She told police that she was with Arthur in the cemetery and witnessed him commit the murder. Another report states that Donna said in July of 1982 her husband brought home a teenager and left home and returned without her. He later apparently disposed of his clothing and cleaned his vehicle. People. Yeah, so afterwards, he would threaten Donna. Sorry. Yeah, he would threaten Donna and claimed that if she did not attend her job, he would take her life, as he did with the girl he brought home. What a sweet husband. Not. So, however, there's a lack of corroboration with everything that she told him, them, about Arthur, and Arthur wasn't charged. So there is a Lieutenant Stephen Spears working on the case, and this is with him being a member of the Warren County's prosecution office, or prosecutor's office. Why can't I speak today? Man. From which he's now retired. And he stated that Arthur claimed responsibility for her death, but he has no physical evidence to confirm or deny that he was involved. And there is also no identity for her. So even if he did commit the murder, they still don't know who she is. I mean, yes, you can charge him with murder of an unidentified female, but still, it would be better to actually, identify her. That way, it's just better. It's better. So, yeah. Spears would also think that they were lying about the confession because they couldn't tell him who she was. So this ended up with him believing that he thinks that she's not one of their victims. But he does believe that she is a native of Long Island, New York. However, Donna was interviewed by a forensic artist who created the sketch of the girl she claimed to have met, and it does resemble that of Princess Doe. Arthur, he remains incarcerated on counts of second-degree murder. So apart from the Kinlaws being suspects, several other suspects have been reconsidered to be involved in the case, but there's nothing there. So there is another theory that was submitted and has been taken into consideration that she may have been a runaway and could have been an individual using a false name while employed at a hotel in Ocean City, Maryland. So similar to like the El Dorado Jane Doe. 6 people have come forward with suspected identities of the Princess Doe. In 2012, a sample of her hair and a tooth was examined through isotope analysis, and this indicated that the victim most likely was born in the United States. The sample of her hair indicated that she had lived at least 7 to 10 years or 10 months in Midwestern or Northeastern United States. So, like New York and up to like where I am, New Hampshire, Maine, all of that jazz. That's Northeastern. But the tooth sample indicated that she could have been living in Arizona or could have been from Arizona. It's also believed that she spent a long period of time in Long Island, New York. So after seeing her in images of the girl's clothing in the newspaper, there was a woman that reported to officials that she remembered seeing a girl wearing the same clothing as Princess Doe on July 13th of 1982. This was just 2 days before the body was found. This woman claimed she was shopping with her daughter at a store across from the cemetery and observed the victim's unique clothing. The shirt and skirt themselves were traced to a manufacturer in the Midwestern United States, although the brand labels were missing. Yeah. 3 people reported after viewing photos that that they bought similar clothing at a Long Island store. It's now closed, but it's known that the store, it was specifically located in Long Island and possibly other locations. So in 2012, a composite of the victim was generated for new tips as it resembled several missing girls from the country. Her body was just recently re-exhumed in November of 2020 using a grant, and she's currently undergoing DNA extraction for genetic genealogy, which is amazing. Also, she has been on TV as well. Her case has been on TV. On HBO, there was a documentary called Missing, and this includes the whole shebang. And with Lieutenant Krantz and the involvement and how he coined the name the Princess Doe, the early investigation, and all that jazz. And her case was also featured on America's Most Wanted in 2012, and that was with hopes of new information coming to light, but that never happened. There has been a book written about her, which is called The Untold Story of Princess Doe. This is by Christy Lee Naparano, and it was published in 2012, and it details a hypothetical account of her life beginning in the year of 1980. So, kind of written through her eyes, but what could have happened, we don't necessarily know. So, Princess Doe was buried in January 22nd of 1983, and after her being unidentified for over five months, that's when she was finally buried. Donated funds were used to pay for her coffin and her headstone, which is very nice. On July 15th of 2012, there was a memorial service held for her, marking the 30th anniversary of her being discovered. So this year in July, wow, that's so weird. Yeah, this year in July will mark 40 years. Wow. 40 years that she has been unidentified. And at that 30-year anniversary, there was about 100 people, over 100 citizens that attended, as well as reporters and cameras were there. The victim's clothing as well as her reconstructions were on display for public viewing. Also, in October of 2014, there was a public rally that was held in honor of her. So this case is still pretty much in the forefront when it comes to New Jersey history and really trying to figure out who she is. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's case of Princess Doe, and I'll see you guys in another video. Bye, guys.
So that's aching, hoping I survive.